So this is Musical Mage, my Terraria-inspired platforming game, where you play as a young wizard who harnesses the power of music to attack. The game is controlled with the W, A, B, S, and space keys primarily, and you attack with the mouse button. There's a lot of different ways to go about playing a game. The most traditional way is to climb up into the clouds, collect this key, and talk to this character to get a new instrument. Jump back down and jump into here and fight the very first boss. Or instead, we are going to encounter a different boss. Sapphire Strength? I have it. Only to beat me if you want it. Prove yourself. While underwater, the player is able to jump infinitely, as opposed to only being able to jump once, which makes it easier to avoid attacks. If you're instant, we will have a separate animation for that, as you can see here. With the guitar, it's a little bit messed up with these sounds, and it doesn't quite sync up with the actual attack. Also, the bow cannot move when they pick it up. Now for the code. The game has a lot of code. In total, it has 265 assets, though that does include sprites and costumes. For the player, the majority of the code is in the player script. They determine when the player is beyond a certain position, and if they are, they check what their current position is, and will change the game or the background depending on that. Some of them will also only activate if there's not a boss fight encounter going on. Next up we have the movement sprites, or scripts. There are 4 movement scripts. The 2 on the left here only affect the animations for the movement, and the ones on the right side here are more so for the actual movement. The player picks up speed as they move, and additionally, while fighting in the ice area, the player will decelerate slower. Most of the bosses have essentially the same code, so we're just going to go over one of them for now. This is Enchanta, the first of the bosses that was coded. The majority of her code is in this script, which determines her attacks and just her general pattern of moving around. All bosses follow the same pattern of moving to a different position repeating until their HP is below 1, attacking with a random attack chosen from 3 options. They then will move to a new position and repeat that until their health has lowered to 1, or below 1. After that, they will broadcast a message that will cause the chat, the dialogue to pop up, and therefore signify the end of the boss fight with a defeated animation. Only some of the bosses actually have a defeated animation, but almost all of them have a complete dialogue. They also will have a code that determines when they are damaged, just like the player does. The player also has hit detection for various attacks. Theirs is a lot more advanced because there are so many different attack types the player could be hit with. And some of them even have unique effects, like a vine that will prevent them from moving, or fireballs that don't give them immunity frames. Every sprite in the entire game will disappear when the game over code is message is broadcasted, which will only occur when the player's health falls to 0. There's a different defeat message if you lose during the final boss battle as opposed to the regular boss battle. A fun thing to note is that the poisoned effect will actually change the color of the player's hearts so that it's obvious when they're poisoned. And it will also not actually defeat the player. It will always stop once they have reached 1 HP. Right here. I'm going back to the player for a minute because I forgot to do some of this. There's the crouching script, which will switch their costume until a different movement key is pressed or until the key is not pressed. Now, it does activate during the boss messages because you have to press the S key to move those forward, but fixing that would be as simple as just having it press the down arrow key instead. This script activates only when the final boss's backdrop is active, and it constantly pulls the player towards the left side of the stage, providing somewhat of a side-scrolling sort of feel to the level. And finally, we have the hiding script for game over, health setting to 0 once it falls below that value if it does, and this script determines what direction the player will face depending on whether the mouse pointer is on their left side or their right side. Left side or the right side. And this script will check if the Enchanter boss, Inferno boss, and Cryo boss have been defeated, and if all 3 of them are defeated, it will then switch the backdrop to the wormhole backdrop and prevent the player from actually falling until the backdrop switches to the final boss backdrop while preparing the player for the final battle. The player will naturally regenerate slowly, though it can be sped up with the down arrow, which should actually be S, and they will regenerate much faster when the player is in the wormhole backdrop.